Good day, science learners! Today, we will talk about the difference between El Niño and La Niña phenomena and the effects of El Niño and La Niña phenomena on global climate. Let's start! The acronym ENSO or the El Niño Southern Oscillation defines as an irregular periodic variation in winds and sea surface temperature over the tropical Eastern Pacific Ocean, affecting the climate of such of the tropics and the subtropics. The warming phase of the sea temperature is also known as El Niño, and the cooling phase also known as La Niña. This natural condition has three phases: the normal condition, the El Niño phase, and the La Niña phase. Let's start with the normal condition. In the normal phase, it happens in the Central Pacific. This takes place in the Central Pacific region between the Western Pacific and the Eastern Pacific. In the Eastern Pacific, it is bounded with the Peruvian coast, and in the Western Pacific, it is bounded by an Australian coast. And since the Central Pacific region is on the equator, expect that it is heated a lot, where most of the sun radiance is directly penetrating on it, and since it is hot, the ocean water in this region is very warm. One of the major factors is the trade winds. The trade winds deploy from eastern to western direction of the Pacific region, and due to this movement, warm water from Peruvian coast towards Australian coast shifts, resulting into cold water from the deep ocean. This cold water from the deep part of the ocean carries a lot of nutrients which undergoes the process of upwelling, where cold water moves towards the surface, resulting for the fishes to move into it. And most of the fishes get attracted due to the change in temperature. The reason why most of the agricultural fishermen fish during this time of years. While in Australian region, more moisture, temperature rise, and rainfall are accumulated in this region, resulting into evaporation and formation of clouds with rainwater. And as it continues to happen, it will go through the troposphere or tropopause layer of the atmosphere, where warm water from the Australian coast will shift into cooler temperature, and the moisture will lose due to evaporation and eventually cools down. And because of the jet stream, what is a jet stream? Jet stream is an air high above the Earth's atmosphere. They move eastward at altitude of about 8 to 15 kilometers high, where the warm air and the cold air masses meets halfway, flowing in the troposphere layer. This causes the subduction of cool air down to Peruvian coast. Next is the El Niño phase. During the El Niño phase, the strength of trade winds weakens, and since it depletes its strength, the capability of water to move comes down, and the accumulated warm water in the Australian coast starts to move towards the Peruvian coast. And due to the movement of warm water from Australian coast, it causes the Peruvian coast to elevate its sea level into 90 centimeter high. Same scenario when warm water is accumulated in the Peruvian coast, it starts to have moisture which forms cloud with rainwater, and eventually causes a huge amount of rainfall that brings a lot of flood, uncertainty in fishing, and so on. While in the Australian coast, it is now facing drought, temperature rise, and health problems. And lastly, the La Niña phase. La Niña is the same condition as of the normal condition. Again, the driving force of the trade winds becomes strong. Warm water shifts from Peruvian coast towards Australian coast, wherein upwelling starts to happen, more fish get attracted, and the water become nutrient rich. That lasts for almost 6 to 7 years. While in Australian coast, it starts to accumulate more moisture due to the intense heat of warm water in the ocean, forming clouds of rain, resulting into a huge amount of rainfall. And so, the whole process is just the opposite of El Niño. El Niño and La Niña affect not only ocean temperatures but also how much it rains on land, depending on which cycle occurs, and when this can mean either droughts or flooding. Typically, El Niño and its warm water are associated with droughts, while La Niña is linked to increased flooding. I hope you learned a lot from this video and see you to our next El Niño adventure. Bye-bye!